feelings, nothing more than feelings, trying to forget my feelings of love. No, I'm not going to keep singing that. But I did want to have a quick word to anyone that wants to hear it about feelings. What are feelings? What are they for? And I'd like to discuss in particular the feeling of anger, especially to any young men that struggle with it, dealing with those feelings of anger over whatever those feelings might be caused by. This is unscripted. I'm just saying it from my own heart and from my own opinions on the subject. Feelings exist to help us survive in the world, help us understand what's going on, not only externally in the world, but also inside us. Feelings tell us about the external and the internal reality of our lives, and they do it in such a way and are so important to our survival because they do it very quickly. And you know yourself that sometimes you've experienced feelings, happiness, sadness, anger, fear, guilt, shame, whatever. And many times it's only later on that you've gotten a chance to think about it. And sometimes you realise what the feelings were about, or you recognise what those feelings were telling you. But at the time, sometimes we're just swamped with feeling and not necessarily understanding the minutiae, not necessarily understanding the details of what the feeling or feelings are telling us. So let me just add to that. If we take the feeling, for example, of physical pain, oh, you've stabbed me in the leg with that pin. I don't have feelings, so I'm going to have to decide what that means. I don't feel pain. I guess I'm just going to have to work out what sort of damage it might have done to me. But if I have feelings, physical feelings, you put that pin in my knee, I'm going to know immediately that there's a problem. I'm going to know immediately that there's damage. And that's just a basic physical feeling that almost all of us understand. Physical pain. Well, I'll swiftly move on to what I said I was going to talk about in particular, and that's anger. The reason that we feel anger is that there is a need or a want in our lives, in our minds, that we feel is unmet. A need or a want that we feel is not being met can lead, and often does, and pretty much every case of anger is caused by our need or want needing to be met in our minds and not being met. So we get anger. We get angry. I'll give you an example. Common one is when we're disagreeing with someone, having an argument. Now, an argument can be completely peaceful, and a real argument is based on Greek reasoning and logic. But most arguments, not most, many arguments degenerate into attacks on one another. They degenerate into ignoring what the other person is saying, not listening. And if you're a person, and I'm guessing that you are, who has been in an argument where they feel like they're not being heard, despite of whether or not I'm listening to the other person, I may feel that I'm not being heard. My side of the argument isn't being heard. And I get angry. Why do I get angry? Because I don't feel that my need to be heard is being met by the other person. In some cases, I feel it's unjust. Don't we all? Well, that's just one example where anger can rear its head when a need or a want that we have isn't being met. We feel isn't being met. There are many other cases, many other instances where you can find yourself in your own history, or even now, if you're experiencing anger, if you've identified anger in yourself, perhaps. Ask yourself, what need or what want is it which isn't being met that because of which I'm now feeling anger? What is the need or want? Needs or wants that I need met, that aren't being satisfied, that aren't being met, and are leaving me still needing or wanting. Now, here's another one that just comes to mind. You know, when you're really hungry and other things are going on, but the longer the hunger goes on, the more angry you start to feel and agitated. There's even an urban term for it, being hangry, feeling hangry, hungry and angry. But the reason you're feeling angry is, you guessed it, you have a want, in most cases of hunger, a need that's not being met. And so you feel anger. Another way in this example of how we survive, how our brains and our bodies keep us going. We're hungry. We feel that need must be met, and it isn't. And so we get angry. And someone starts telling us about their day at work, and we snap at them. Or, some other innocent conversation. All we can think about is food. And we feel hangry. Okay, lots of examples I'm not going to go through anymore. But let me say this. There's righteous anger too. And all the anger in the world that isn't righteous, and, pick an example. There's righteous anger everywhere. Now, I'm not going to pretend I have what I feel is righteous anger on a lot of subjects, especially things that are happening in the world and happen in the world of politics, and the world of population, and the world of places that shouldn't be corrupt, that are violently and horribly corrupt. All this stuff bothers me immensely. I feel anger. And you know why? Because I have a need to see the world a better place than it is. Why? Because I understand pain and I understand some degree of suffering as a human being. And I don't want others to suffer. It's a need I have. The more people suffer anywhere, whether it's in my home, my family, my friends, or whether it's someone I don't know on the other side of the world being bombed, the more I suffer. The more all of us suffer. When any of us think of a utopia, a place where everything's wonderful, there's no war in it. There's no violence, and needless to say, your perfect dream world might have boxing in it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about hatred. I'm talking about all these things that we don't just want gone, we fucking need gone. the lingering effect of selfishness, of not honouring life, of not treating people equally and fairly, from top to bottom. All these things are things we should be upset about. We should feel anger about them. I'm telling you why. Because these things need to stop. The injustices in the world have to stop. This is why we feel so angry. We know this. We know it to be true. And our need for it to happen is not just not being met. It's being reinforced and worsened by the continual corruption and lies that we, the population of the world, continue to be fed by those who are more powerful than us individually and who think they have the right to tell us how things should be, to tell us that it's okay to slaughter people, civilians. It's okay to steal from other countries, to take their livelihoods, to let them starve. It's okay to bomb people and hurt people and lie and kill and fucking... You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to say it. You already know all this shit. Listen to me, I'm getting angry now. Just thinking about it. That's what anger does for us. We need anger. Johnny Lydon said anger is an energy, and he's right. If we don't feel anger, at this point in history right now, in 2023, if we have no anger for what has happened in the world recently and what is going on right now, then what are our needs and wants? If it isn't a need or a want for us to see the world freed from hostility and freed from all this bullshit and corruption and lies and gaslighting and everyone in power and the media just going along with it, if that's not enough for us to feel that a need isn't being met, to feel anger about it, then we're either suppressing the anger and the need, or something's wrong. Anger and violence aren't the same thing. Anger and violence are not the same thing. You can be violent and calm and cool as a cucumber. You can be incredibly angry, not hurt a kitten.